Wave weather now. Hey, everybody. Happy Derby. I'm Wave Storm Tracking Team Meteorologist Ryan Hoke here. Are we having fun yet? Wow, what a day, right? The Kentucky Oaks is now in the books, and we had severe weather right at 4 o'clock, as expected, unfortunately. It caused a lot of folks at Churchill Downs to have to take cover because of the lightning, and of course, we had some wind damage here in the metro area, had some hail down in southern Kentucky. This was an active day. But thankfully, the active weather for at least today is over. We do have some pretty widespread rain for Derby Day that we're going to talk about here in just a moment. While folks are still filing into the chat room this evening, and of course our live stream, which we're streaming on Facebook, Twitch, YouTube, and X, and also the Wave Weather app. Wave Weather Now is your 24/7 local weather live stream here for the Louisville area, available in the Wave Weather app, and of course the Wave Now app for your smart TV, as well as wave3.com. We're going to take a few comments and questions, and then we'll roll on with the latest on the forecast here for Oaks, or I should say, or just Derby, since Oaks is already over. Truly King asking a great question here. Was wondering if we were going to go live during the storms today. All right, so Oaks Day and Derby Day are the literally 2 days of the year when we have some restrictions on our live streams here because we've got so many resources being poured into our wall-to-wall TV coverage of both the Kentucky Oaks and Kentucky Derby. We don't have a whole lot of staffing and access for the room that I'm in right here. I was also under the gun today to be on TV during our Oaks coverage, and we have restrictions from streaming that Oaks coverage on social media. So there's a lot of ifs, ands, or buts on trying to do these live streams here on both Oaks and Derby Day, but we'll do them when we can. And this is a moment when we've got a break before our Galas special, our Night at the Galas special airs on Wave. And we'll also be live streaming from this studio here starting at 9 a.m. And they're going to need all this equipment. So I'm going to be off here pretty quickly tonight at around 8:30. So I've got a hard out, as they say. But just an explanation as to why we weren't live. We were live on TV. I was live on TV for about 20 minutes today with streaming, or I should say with wall-to-wall severe weather coverage with the storms moving through Louisville. So if you turned it on to Wave on our TV side of things, you saw us. And I think our news and our news stream also carried that too. So just keeping you guys informed of what we're able to do on literally the 2 most important days of the year here in Louisville, and the ones where we have limited resources to do what we do day to day, just because we're all at Churchill Downs, right? Trying to make sure we're serving you with Oaks and Derby coverage. Jacob says, happy Oaks Day from Litchfield. ZK's in the room. Good evening to you. On YouTube says, good evening. I like the pink. I always like saying that username on YouTube. That's fun. Gets everybody's attention here. Quick storm in Jeffersonville from ZK. Yeah, that's absolutely true. Carrie says we had a little rain in Southeast Township. The weather usually misses us in our little hollow there. That's Southeast Orange County, Indiana. I know exactly where Southeast Township is up there in southern Indiana. Man, they should have done this at the track so that you could go, right? Yeah, that's the thing. We've got to have a designated survivor here at the station on a day like today. And boy, it paid dividends because all of our live positions at Churchill Downs had to evacuate due to severe weather. So they cut over to me to do weather coverage while those folks were staying safe from the lightning. Scott says, happy Derby Eve. Happy Derby Eve to you as well, Scott Connor. We've got my buddy Andre from high school in there. Happy Derby. Happy Derby week to you, Andre. Let's see here. Storm snuck up on Frankfurt, according to Tish. Yeah, you guys had like a little sneaky last-minute storm there, just kind of brush by. Let's see. Says, did you see any celebrities? I didn't. I've been stuck in this building all day, but I know some other folks tonight, especially our Night at the Galas broadcast. We'll be able to see some celebrities. Simone Biles is in town. That starts at 9, by the way. That will be live streaming, not on Wave Weather Now, but on Wave Now, and also our social media properties like YouTube, etc. So keep that in mind. Let's see. We finally done with alert days for May. Not so sure for May, because it's just May 2nd, right? But we're done with the alert day for today. How's that? I'm a poet and I didn't know it. Angela's like, well, there was nothing at my house in Taylorsville. Well, yeah, that's the nature of a 70, 80% rain chance today. You were part of that 20 to 30% chance that didn't see it. Jackie asking, is the severe weather over? Yes, it is over for tonight, thankfully. Let's see. Dallas says, I remember asking you folks if today would be an alert day and a live stream Tuesday evening. Unfortunately, ended up being one of the most intense days, and this one was needed. Yes, it was absolutely needed, 100%. We had damage all through parts of the Louisville metro area, so yikes. All right, now that we've got, looks like at least 200 folks in the room here, I am going to go through some of the weather. That's a live view of Churchill Downs you're seeing on your screen, by the way. This thing was bouncing all over the place and going nuts. This is a 4-hour time lapse of what this looked like here. You can see that very low visibility and the little bounciness from all the storms moving through. But things are tranquil now. It's calm. We are in good shape here for the rest of the evening. There will be a few more showers that move through, but thankfully no severe weather. Temperatures are holding in the 60s right now. You see that second line of shower, or really, we had a second line of showers that died before it could really arrive here in Louisville, just some very light rainfall. Now there's a third line of showers getting going just to our north and west. We'll watch for any flash flooding that tries to pop up with that from Paoli to Evansville pretty much at this point, but I don't expect anything major just because the atmosphere is kind of spent from all of the storms that we had earlier today. That cool, rain-cooled air has really done a number on things. So here are the storm reports from today in the Louisville metro area. All of these individual little tree icons that you see as wind damage, and the little wind gust icon, that is a actual wind measurement that took place there. And you'll see that's a 62 mile per hour gust that was recorded from a mesonet station in the Corridon area. That was from Indiana Department of Transportation, their little micro mesonet that they have there. PRP, we also had some damage, trees and power lines down, 6800 block of Rutledge Road. We had quite a few hail reports down to the south as well. But before we get to those, because I pressed the wrong button, because that happens in here, let's query a few more of these reports here in downtown Louisville and West Louisville. There's Shively, tree down, taking power lines with it, Cypress and Duminal Street. We had another report that was quite sizable, and this was in Old Louisville here. That got my attention. Tree fell on 2 vehicles at the intersection of East Burnett Avenue and South Brook Street. That was literally 2 or 3 blocks north of DuPont Manual High School, my alma mater, and was in Old Louisville there. So even though we had 50 mile per hour gust recorded here in Louisville with these storms, it was enough to take trees and power lines down. And the severe thunderstorm warning, despite not seeing a 60 mile per hour gust, was absolutely merited. With so many folks outside, the actual definition of a severe thunderstorm warning didn't really matter because the impact was going to be so high in a dense metro area on the second most important day of the year, the Kentucky Oaks, when folks are outside. Had a tree down of near Etley Avenue there. That was around 413 earlier today. And finally, a little closer to downtown and our building here at Wave, had a tree down across the road at 600 block of Lambton Street, not too far from the station here, around 410. So we expected these storms to hit right at 4, and boom, they did. Churchill Downs was in severe weather mode. They got folks into the stands underneath cover as best they could because it's dangerous to be outside with all that lightning, and it was a real problem. While that was ongoing, we also had severe thunderstorm warnings for hail going on in southern Kentucky. Campbellsville had quarter-sized hail. Southern Greene County, Kentucky, they had $half-sized hail. I mean, this was whopper big hail down there. And then near Bramlett, Kentucky, that's just north and west of Bramlett there, they had golf ball-sized hail. Holy cow. We can't forget about our friends over near Horse Cave in southern Hart County, too. You guys had a couple hail reports, one that was about a quarter size and another one in Horse Cave proper here. Once it queries for me, If it will cooperate, maybe it won't. Maybe we won't be able to see it. But anyway, they had some big hail, quarter size or larger, and it was a problem across southern Kentucky. There we go, quarter size hail, Horse Cave, around 210 Central today. So this is the live view of the wide shot here, and you'll see all the severe weathers to our east. Only one severe thunderstorm warning east of Bristol, Tennessee at this time. And we still have that line of downpours trying to get going to our west. Again, the atmosphere is not primed for severe weather anymore. Severe thunderstorm watch is gone. It's just not going to be severe. Now what we're dealing with is rain at times overnight and especially Derby Day morning. Yikes. And it's all thanks to this area of low pressure out to our west that's just going to park itself over us for quite a few days here. We'll have rain from this same low pressure system at times all the way through potentially early Tuesday. That's how slow this thing is. It's a cutoff area of low pressure. It's getting wrapped up around us, cut off from the jet stream aloft, so it has nowhere to go, nothing to push it out of the way, and a blocking setup that's got high pressure out in the Atlantic that's keeping it from going anywhere too. So this is a setup where this area of low pressure is tough to forecast. That's why the Derby Day forecast has been so erratic and finally has settled on a wet solution. Thankfully, the Derby race tomorrow at 6:57 p.m. That's the post time if it goes on time. That looks a little better, and we'll show you why here in just a few moments. But I want to, of course, let you know that on Wave Weather Now, which is our 24/7 live stream, just tap Watch Now on the Wave Weather app, we still have running our Derby Week Outlook, which you can see every 10 minutes or so. I've got the hour-by-hour Derby rain chances for tomorrow, and, of course, our official hourly forecast for the Kentucky Derby on there as well. As we update that graphic, it goes straight to Wave Weather Now. So that's the fastest way to see our updated Derby forecast. Watch Wave Weather Now. Pop it on your smart TV. Just search for Wave Now in your Roku, Amazon Fire, or Apple TV app store, and then just tap that second live stream in the app there, and boom, you've got Wave Weather Now, Louisville's only 24/7 weather live stream. Derby 151 is tomorrow, the most important forecast I will make for the year, bar none, and that's an 80% rain chance between 9 and noon. Why? 2025 continues to do 2025 things. That's what I put in our internal live chat today here at the station for all of us meteorologists. It has been a year, to say the least. We've dealt with everything. It feels like we've had major snow, we've had a bit of ice, we've had severe weather out the wazoo, we've had wind problems, we've had just everything you can think of, minus a hurricane and an earthquake. We haven't dealt with those yet, and knock on fake wood. Hopefully we won't deal with those this year. But you'll see that rain chance does go down by Derby time itself to 30%. Hopefully we can keep it there. Some of the data this evening trying to be a little bit more aggressive with a second area of rain trying to push in during the evening. I'll update these chances here in a little bit more detail once we get a little closer to the 11 o'clock news and I get some of the 0Z model data in. That starts coming in here pretty shortly here. But you'll see that highest rain chance is right around that midday time frame. So for folks heading to Churchill Downs or maybe heading to a Derby party around lunchtime, it will be wet. This rain will be heavy at times. There will be some lightning, and that's a problem. We'll watch for that. By Derby time itself, that's a 30 to 40% chance of rain. So this is kind of our bottom line forecast for the Kentucky Derby race. 62 degrees, 30% rain chance. And of course, make sure that you are dressed warmly tomorrow. You're going to need some sort of jacket, coat, because temperatures only topping out in the 60s under a gray sky is going to feel pretty cool. I'll tell you that. This is Futurecast, and we'll show you some more data, just like Futurecast here in just a second here, that some of you may know what I'm talking about. You'll know what I'm alluding to here shortly. 4 o'clock in the morning on Saturday, here comes the rain. This is the HRRR model. Rain and thunder possible there. Tries to develop a little break by 7 a.m., but this is the bad stuff. This is 12 noon here, and that is a lot of rain when folks are trying to get out and about on Derby Day. This is 2 and 3 o'clock. We don't like that either. Notice that pretty aggressive line of storms out in eastern Kentucky. Yes, there was a marginal risk of severe weather for tomorrow for our counties. I say was because they removed it this afternoon. So right now, we do not have a risk of severe weather from the Storm Prediction Center. However, a few strong storms can't be ruled out, especially east of Louisville and in southeastern Kentucky, especially as we go throughout tomorrow, lunchtime through the afternoon. Then look at this. Miraculously, by 7 p.m., the heaviest of the rain is to the east. Now, you notice that kind of little line, that ribbon there from Paoli down to E-Town of rain that tries to redevelop in the wake of this thing. If any sun peaks happen there, if the clouds try to break up at all, we would potentially see some showers and downpours try to bubble up. So we kind of don't want the sun tomorrow because we don't want that second round to try to hit us right around that Derby race time there. Nonetheless, by 11 p.m., still a pretty decent chance of rain, but a lot of us are dry during that time. This is the data I was talking about. So this week, Climavision, which is a local Louisville-based company, believe it or not, literally just down the street from us here at Wave, they have lent us their data, their model data. They have a Horizon AI model, which is a high-resolution computer model for weather that goes out 7 days at almost the same resolution as the HRRR model that I just showed you. That's groundbreaking. Now, resolution doesn't necessarily equal accuracy, right? So you can have a super high res model, but it'd be wrong, or a super low res model and it'd be completely right. But in this instance, it's been doing pretty well this week. And what it affords us is the ability to see a snapshot of what things could look like on the radar in a very high resolution look at a very far distance out in time. So even if it's not perfect, we at least get an idea of what the storm mode will be, what the threats will be in a much more high resolution fashion. So it's a lot easier to grasp that and understand what the setup will look like. And this is what that Horizon AI model from our friends down at Climavision has for tomorrow. This is the latest data that's available to us here. This is Saturday at 10 a.m. on your left. You'll see that, of course, we've got some fairly widespread rains. It does have the exact same idea as the HRRR here at 2 p.m. I mean, that looks almost like a carbon copy of the HRRR. And that's actually not terribly shocking because this model uses the HRRR initial conditions for you nerds out there as its base, and then its own secret sauce of AI and physics to push forward in time from there. So it's kind of like if you were to take the HRRR, soup it up with AI, and then push it a week in advance. That's what this model kind of is. So that's kind of handy, right? And then by 6 o'clock, it shows very acutely that the heaviest of the rain will be to our east, and that we'll have that little ribbon of rain that I just talked about, possibly nearby around that 6, 7 o'clock time frame, just in time for the Kentucky Derby race. Take a few more questions here, and then I will go to a quick break. Talk about the rest of the forecast, and then we'll wrap it up because I got to be out of here in 14 minutes so that they can have this studio facility for live streaming the night at the galas on Wave News. Let's see here if we've got any questions, comments, concerns. Wyatt Wright says, "Hey Ryan, Wave is my favorite news station. You guys are doing a great job with the coverage." Thank you, Wyatt. Really appreciate that there. I know you've posed in pictures with some other meteorologists too. So hopefully we are your favorite station if you get my drift there. Wyatt and I go back way a long time. I met Wyatt at the Kentucky State Fair when he was just a little guy, and then met him again when he was at DuPont Manual, my alma mater, when I went to do a talk there. ZK says, "Ryan, true, we've experienced all seasons within 4 months. We have. It's been a year's worth of weather in 4 months, I feel like." Carrie's asking, how's the AI been doing? Was it accurate 170 hours out? It's been doing all right. This is still new to us. There's no other model like this that goes that far out. So it's kind of hard to compare and quantify how well it's doing that distance out in time. But what we can tell you is that it's been handy. It's been helpful. We've enjoyed using it. So hats off to Climavision for giving us the help this week. Jackie says, "I was kind of sad I didn't get to see any hail today. I absolutely love hailstorms. And roofers like hailstorms too, because they have to put new roofs on people's houses and apartments and businesses. And the car people like it because they get to repair hail-damaged vehicles and get that nice insurance money. So hail may be interesting from a scientific perspective. I definitely agree with that. But wanting to see hail, I would definitely disagree there. If I never saw another hailstorm in my life, I'd be happy with that. I'd tell you that right now. Nathan says, in my neighborhood, there was a tree down. Not surprising there. There's a lot of trees down in Louisville here. And Nathan also says, hey, my horse almost won today too. Yes, indeed. Justin says, great job, National NBC2 OMG. Yes, thank you. NBC has been doing bang up work on their, of course, Derby preps for tomorrow. They take over for us at, I think it's 2:30 tomorrow afternoon is when NBC takes over from us. So you'll see us until 2:30 on Wave, the TV station, and then NBC thereafter. And they'll take the gauntlet from there, and that's when a lot of us will either enjoy the Derby or go to a Derby party, which is what I'm doing tomorrow after we're done. Laura says, Kevin, you and the team rock best area in the area, hands down. Thank you, Laura. Laura Adams is a good friend of ours. We really appreciate that. Tina says, I went to No Middle School and used to run the track at Manual. Yes. No Middle School, right? Literally across the street. My brother went to No. I went to Manual, so I got to drive him to school when I was in high school, and he was in middle school. It's kind of a cool arrangement how they had those so close by. Jacob's asking the tough questions here. What are some of the projected rainfall totals for tomorrow? And that is something I have not showed you, and I should show you. So I'm glad you asked that question. So what I'm doing now is resurrecting the HRRR rainfall map here that you're seeing pop up. And let's only dial it back to Sunday at midnight. There you go. 1 to 3 inches of rain. Yeah, that's not great. I agree. 1.66 here in Louisville, roughly, plus or minus a half inch on that, by the way, just because we're still not all the way there yet. But a lot of 2-inch plus rainfall totals, especially east of Louisville, where that line of storms really gets going there. So soggy Derby. I've got my big black poncho ready to go for tomorrow. Thankfully, I'll be undercover at the first turn grandstand with Kevin Harnett and Brian Good for a time. So we'll have some protection from the rain, but the lightning is a little bit concerning for tomorrow. We will see how that goes. Nonetheless, it's just one of those days where we are going to be wet and soggy. And thankfully, that rainfall total is half of what we did in 2018, which is the record wettest Derby here in Louisville. No fun. Let's see if we've got any more comments. Some asking about other TV stations. I don't know anything about other TV stations doing anything at this point other than what Wave is doing. So a couple interesting comments and questions about that in there. All right, since this seems to be slowing down in the comments section of this whole thing, what we're going to do is we're going to take a quick 1-minute break. I'm going to get some graphics together to show you the rest of the forecast for next week and our 10-day. So we will be right back in 60 seconds. We are back here with a look at the rest of the week forecast. Wanted to address a couple of comments, by the way, before we get too much farther here. ZK says, I thought you guys said you won't be covering all of Derby. Another station will be taking over. Yes, so we will be on the air till 2:30. Then the national network, NBC, we are an NBC affiliate, NBC National will be taking over. Can they broadcast to the entire United States the Kentucky Derby coverage, including here in Louisville? So we can only be there and broadcasting until 2:30. And the agreement is that NBC National takes over, and it will still be on Wave, by the way. It's just NBC, their version of the coverage will take over after ours ends at 2:30. So we're all part of the same big family. It's just the basically big brother, NBC in New York, is taking over from us, the little brother, Wave here in Louisville, the NBC affiliate for the Louisville market. Hopefully that clears that up. I know that can, especially in this day and age, because like TV for especially like Gen Z and Gen Alpha here. It is kind of like a foreign thing. You guys are mostly on live streams, but you may watch the Kentucky Derby on traditional television because so many people still watch like the Super Bowl, the Kentucky Derby, and big things on TV who are super young. So just keep that in mind that TV, it's kind of an old-timey, decades-old thing here, how all of this sort of is arranged here. So that's why that's happening tomorrow. Okay. Anyway, so we, of course, have rain chances that continue into Sunday. That's a 40% rain chance between 8 a.m. and 6 p.m. and still these scattered showers around. Again, this is Sunday, not Saturday, not tomorrow, until through midnight, Sunday night. And it's all because this little area of low pressure that's pesky is going to continue spinning around and lobbing through areas of showers, maybe a clap of thunder or two. It'll be cool and cloudy. Highs will only be in the 50s, by the way, on Sunday. Miserable. It's May, for crying out loud. This is when we want to have bright sunny days, sunshine, and highs in the 70s and 80s. Unfortunately, the 50s are back for Sunday and Monday. And these showers continue on Monday, by the way, because this area of low pressure just won't go anywhere. And it finally gets out of here by Tuesday. And that's when things start to improve on the temperature side of things. You'll see temperatures getting back into the 70s for highs around here. But look, they're stuck in the 60s and 50s up near Cleveland, where that area of low pressure will be located by Tuesday afternoon. There it is, 10-day earliest alert. Wow, one of the last times you'll hear the Derby bugler there on this, because guess what? Tomorrow is Derby. It's almost here. Kind of incredible that we finally made it to Derby after the longest year on record, it seems like, even though it's only May. We've had so much go on in the weather around here. It feels like this should be the end of 2025, right? No, we're only just now 5 months into the year. So I'll leave you there with the 10-day earliest alert. We'll take a couple more questions. I have 4 minutes before they got to kick me out of here because of all the different things that they have to get swapped over for our Night at the Galas coverage that will also be live streaming. Just not on Wave Weather Now, but on Wave Now, our news. Carrie's like, the longest year on record is one of the leap years. Yes, it is 366 days, because technically every year is 365.25 days. That would be annoying to put into a calendar to have a quarter day. So they're just like, okay, every 4 years we make up for it, but not always every 4 years, because why not? Physics is fun, right? Let's see here. Anybody else have any other weather-related questions here? Everybody's giving their birth year. Oh, Scott saying, it was raining at the Middletown Kroger earlier. I was drenched watching them make the garland of roses. Yes, that is actually my Kroger. So it's amazing that that's where they make it. They did the lilies last night. They're doing the roses tonight. Cindy Sullivan, dear friend of decades of Wave here. She is broadcasting live hits all throughout the day, just kind of showing you the assembly process of the garland of roses for the Kentucky Derby. It's literally done at a grocery store in Middletown, Kentucky, the eastern side of Jefferson County. For those of you who aren't local to us here, the east side of Louisville, still in the same county as Louisville, just the eastern part of it here. And it's amazing to watch them put all that together. That was kind of must-see TV for me when I was a kid, to see all of that and to know that, hey, that was literally just down the street where they're doing that. There's Cindy Sullivan, on the air with it. And it's cool to see everything kind of get amped up for Derby, and then watch the execution of Derby Day and the race. And boy, I've got a front row seat to it here, working at the official Kentucky Derby station. It's kind of fun, I'll tell you what. Let's see. Carrie says, I think Wave should cover the Derby whether or not NBC National wants them to. Well, unfortunately, that's just not how life works, right? NBC's got to take over, and they do a great job. Mike Tirico is amazing. One of the premier sports broadcasters in history. I kid you not. Such a humble, amazing, smart guy. And to have him on basically our team, if you will, the NBC family, is fantastic. He does such a great job. Lori's asking, are these repeated storms going to happen all month? This is May. May is usually pretty stormy. It's one of our stormier months of the year. And you see the 10-day here. Yeah, we do have some storm chances here. None of these look severe, by the way. I was looking at some of the long-term stuff a little earlier before all heck broke loose with the severe weather, and it doesn't look like anything severe through the next 7 days. We'll watch that Mother's Day weekend and beyond. Not real sure how that's going to play out at this point because we are more than a week in advance of that. Guys, I got to hang it up. They're going to start knocking down the door here to get me out of here so that they can put up the Night at the Galas broadcast. It's live broadcasting with Kevin Harned, by the way. He will be hosting it, of course, with Olivia Russell, one of our Sunrise anchors here, on Wave on TV starting at 9 p.m. Eastern. It will also be live streaming on Wave Now, which is our news version of this live stream here. You can find it on the Wave News app, wave3.com, and of course the Wave YouTube channel. It's Wave-Louisville, Kentucky. You can watch that broadcast. Simone Biles is in town. Joey Fatone is in town. We've got tons of football players. We got tons of country music stars, and you'll get to potentially see some of them in action at these big galas, these pre-Kentucky Derby galas tonight that we have reporters fanned out across the city to attend and bring you the latest from. So for now, everybody, thanks again for watching this evening. Thanks for bearing with us with severe weather on the second most important day of the year here in Louisville, the Kentucky Oaks. We will see you back here at 11 o'clock tonight on Wave News for the latest on the Derby forecast. If you're local to us, watch Wave News. And if you're not, Wave Weather Now. That is our 24/7 local weather live stream. We're always on there. I'm meteorologist Ryan Hoke. Happy Derby, everybody. We will see you back here tomorrow.